Besties. Welcome back to the Tana Talks podcast. It is me, Montana Duran, your host, and I am joined with one of my in real life California besties, Sarah Norton. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Montana. Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad you're here. I'm so excited for this.
Me too.
You are like my first real born and bred California friends. Like,
I'm honored.
When I think about a California girl, you are what comes to mind.
That's all I've ever hoped for. Not the first time I've heard that.
And like, I know you think I have an accent, but like, I love your accent. You're like California girly. Like, let's just go to the beach.
She's just a valley girl. What can I say?
I love it. Okay, so I like to start the podcast with a question.
Let's do it.
When is the last time you cried?
Oh, super recently, to be honest. Well, I cried in front of you like 2 days ago.
That
on
was
this couch.
That was beautiful. This couch is where I spend. If I'm not at my house, I'm on this couch.
She's seen a lot. So yeah, like probably. Yeah, I think that was the last time 2 days ago in front of you.
Yeah. Well, we don't have to divulge into that because usually I'm like, so what happened? No, I just like to. I think that question got birthed out of like I was spending a lot of time crying. It was when I was like healing from an accident, and so I would like was fascinated by crying and tears, and so I just like to know, like, I think it's a healthy thing.
Absolutely. I'm someone who, I think you know this, I like to hold it in until it's like a big waterfall, and then it's like a really big embarrassing epic cry, but it does feel good. Like I felt so much better after that, and I genuinely, like, just as an update, I feel so much better, and I love that we had that talk.
I do too, because like literally life is not meant to be lived alone. Like, we're not supposed to go through our stuff alone. And like, especially now, like after the pandemic and everything, like we all spend a lot of time alone, I feel like, and in isolation and feeling like we have to just do everything on our own. But like, there's so much power in just like, it releases it, like not just crying, but like also telling your friends, like, because
absolutely,
it's so crazy how you can be like so close to someone and not know what they're going through.
Totally. It's so easy to just be like, what's going on in your life? Like, tell me the updates, and it's not as fun to like cry, but that's why I'm glad I have you. And you know, the world has you too, but I feel extra lucky.
Okay, I'll cry right now.
Okay, do it.
Should we just start crying on the podcast?
It would be cathartic.
What if I asked someone that question and they just started crying?
They just trauma dump, the largest trauma dump in the history of, yeah, I don't know. Could go a different way.
Okay, so when I do, like I said at the beginning, when I think about you, you are what I envision a California girly. Like, you grew up in San Diego, like California girl. And when I first met you, you were like, yeah, I went to Alabama. Like, University of Alabama. And I'm like, Roll Tide, Alabama?
Roll motherfucking tide.
And it just shocked me because like I'm from the South, I know what it's like, and I would have never in a million years imagined you went to Alabama. So like, what was that like, coming from San Diego going to Alabama? Like, what was your experience?
Yeah, it was an interesting one. I actually decided to go to Alabama because I have an older sister, 3 years older, and she went to Alabama, and I didn't know how to think for myself at all. We're getting better. So I just naturally followed her there, you know. It felt safe. And I'm really glad I did. It was a really interesting, eye-opening experience for me in a lot of ways. It was really fun. It was like you were saying, like California girl. I am born and bred in California. You know, I'd never lived anywhere else. I was pretty sheltered to anything outside of Southern California, San Diego specifically. So yeah, it was an eye-opening experience to see how another part of the country lives. And I don't know how much you want me to get into it right away.
You can get into it.
Yeah.
That's what a podcast is. Hi, besties. So sorry to interrupt that incredible interview. We're going right back. Don't worry. I just had to come and show you guys something that's really been helping me. You're like, probably like, Montana, why are you in the kitchen? I told you we're getting more intimate in season 4. So no better way to get intimate than to come into my kitchen. If you're following the Instagram, you know I have been having a love-hate relationship with coffee recently, and it's mostly hate because it has betrayed me. Coffee has always been my loyal sidekick. It's been betraying me. It's made me feel super anxious. I drink it because I think it makes me more productive, and honestly, all I do is just want to crawl out of my skin because I'm so anxious. So I've been looking for so many solutions, so many things. Nothing's really working. I'm still tired. Caffeine does give you that initial boost, but it doesn't really last long and you just are super anxious all day. You can't sleep. All the things I've been struggling with. I share about them all the time on Instagram. That's why I'm so excited that I found this little shot from Magic Mind. It has completely changed the game for me because it doesn't have any of the negative side effects. It only has positive ones. This is a community full of creatives, and this stuff, when I drink it, it makes me feel so creative. You can use it as a substitute for coffee, or you can use it along with your coffee, because I do still have 1 cup, but I was drinking like 4 cups a day. So I've completely cut my coffee intake. It's went out the window. What I love about Magic Mind is that it has all natural ingredients. It has matcha, it has ashwagandha, it has lion's manes. So you feel safe drinking it, whereas coffee, I'm just shaking out of my skin. If you're like me and coffee is making you so anxious, I totally recommend you try Magic Mind, and you can get it at magicmind.com/Tana with code TANA20, and you'll get 56% off your first subscription or 20% off your one-time purchase. That's code TANA20 for 56% off a subscription. Even if you're already a subscriber, you can save on your next subscription payment. I totally recommend it. They have a total full refund if you don't like it, but I don't think that you won't like it. Like, I know you're going to love it because you're my besties and I know what my besties want. So again, it's magicmind.com/Tana with discount code TANA20 for up to 56% off a subscription. Not 55, 56, okay? I'd pick the 30 pack if I were you. That's the best value. I got the subscription and it's changing the game. We're being creative. Okay, I love you. I mean it. Let's go listen to this interview. Bye.
It was really interesting. I had a great time. I did the like typical Alabama route where you like join a sorority.
Oh, you were a sorority girl?
Mm-hmm. I was Greek, you know. DGs out there. Hey, what's up, sisters? Yeah.
The only thing I feel like I missed out on a sorority is like the gang signs y'all do with your hands.
Oh yeah. Okay.
The KDs were my favorite.
That's gonna be horrible audio. I'm so sorry. But yeah, there it is. Be jealous.
So you did the sorority life.
I did the sorority. Yeah, and besides, like, obviously the weather was such a shock. It was the first time I had ever really dealt with any type of humidity. I didn't really understand humidity. So that was hard physically on my body. I sweat a lot, you know. But
and it surprisingly gets cold in the South.
It does get cold. It even snowed
Yeah.
my freshman year. It like flurried and they shut the school down for 2 days. It was amazing. I did get a video of me throwing a snowball, and it was like the first one I had thrown since I was like 6. So that was exciting for me. But yeah, Greek life, it was a lot, and I don't want to like totally just slander them or anything, but I was lucky that like I found a really amazing group of people through it, and like outside of Greek life too. Like college was fun, and I still am friends with a lot of those people, but there's a lot of different traditions. Like they take it very, very seriously. It's a little culty.
Oh, yes.
Like I'm talking I'm gonna spill like a little secret, like for initiation and stuff. Like I'm talking like all matching bras and underwear, and we had to just wear white socks and like our bra and underwear and like this white little like robe over us, and like go down into the basement where it was dark, and like candles and candle wax stuff, you know.
Did you guys sacrifice someone that night?
Well, we got close, but she was actually sick that day, so we had to rain check it.
Okay.
But so yeah, that's really intense. Like there were girls I met who were like, my grandmommy's grandmama, you know, she was in this sorority, she lived in this dorm room, so I gotta do the same. That was cool.
I love your Southern accent.
Oh, thank you, darling.
You kind of nailed it there.
Yeah, well, I had never practiced a Southern accent at all in my life until I went to college my freshman year. A pretty annoying tick I picked up. Not tick, but a little habit, a drunk habit specifically that I picked up very quickly was if any little bit of liquor was in me, mama, that Southern twang was gonna come out, and it still do from time to time, you know, y'all understand.
Yes. But not all Southern people are stupid. That's the one stereotype that I hate. Is like people think when you talk like that you're just dumb.
Absolutely not. And I think that that's like part of the like don't judge a book by its cover. A book cock. I'm sorry. Don't judge a book by its cover. I did that.
No.
Yeah, because some of the smartest people I met in college had Southern accents, and obviously they put me as a film major to shame.
Yeah. So you did major in film. What was that like at Alabama? Because you would think like coming from California, you would do that here, right?
Right. Right. You know, as many do, as many successful people do.
No, I love that you did that.
Yeah, it
Because
was
it's a great school. Don't like, come on, like roll
Roll
Tide.
Tide.
They win at everything.
Yeah, we do. Come on, Natties this year. Roll Tide. Yeah, it was really interesting. I didn't go to school right away to be a film major, even though I had always like loved production. I was a theater nerd. I had always been like making videos and stuff. But I didn't think I could make any money off of it. So I went to school as I went as a criminal justice major, and I wanted to be like pre-law. I thought I'd be a lawyer. Shocking. And
It's a bit shocking.
yeah, it's a bit shocking because after one semester, I was like, oh my God, I can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I did switch to film, and I had an amazing experience. I loved it. I'm sure you're familiar with the SEC network and how big Bama's football is. And like, because the SEC network and Bama's football success, there was a lot of money going to, in general, the telecommunications and film program. So it was a really good program. Like,
That makes sense.
yeah, absolutely. There were a lot of resources. I met some really amazing people, and actually, like, a little shout out to like Micah and Emily, some friends I met.
I
at
love
Bama.
them.
And they moved out here to LA too, and so now we're all friends, which is amazing. Yeah, I loved it.
I'm glad you brought that up too, the SEC and everything, because one habit that you did pick up from the South that
Oh,
I'm
no.
so glad that you picked up is the love of college football.
That's true.
I am a college football stan. We went to I call it the Roll Tide bar the other
does.
day. Everyone was just screaming Roll Tide when they were playing Georgia, and I was just like,
There were a couple of Georgia fans.
I got
there.
that. It was me.
You
I
and
got
one
the
guy.
dog in me.
You had that
Roof.
dog in you. I was
Roof.
cracking up. You were honestly so funny that day. I took Montana to an Alabama football bar for one of the games recently against Georgia.
The SEC championship.
SEC championship.
Big deal.
Shout out.
Shout out to Georgia for freaking blowing it. I don't even like y'all like that.
I will agree with that. But yeah, we went together and like we hung out with some of my school friends and met up with some other Bama people, and it was really fun bringing you because obviously you're such a good sport. Like you weren't
Yeah.
like, oh my God, no, like Georgia. But you were just like so funny the whole time, and yeah, I'm glad you got to experience how Bama football fans are.
No, I'm glad because people out here don't appreciate it. And I didn't
No.
realize how much of a bit, like, how, like, core that was of me. Like, college football, like, that's how we grew up.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't like the NFL.
No, NFL's so boring.
I only started liking them recently after that quarterback show.
Oh yeah, that
I can
quarterback
tell
show.
you, Yeah.
Yeah, I need to watch that.
It's really good. It makes
was it
you want to
called?
be I think it's called, like, quarterback.
Okay, subtle plug. Shout out the
Shout
quarterback
out to
show.
Netflix. Can you lower your subscriptions?
Please.
So you did the film there and the film program there.
Mhm.
Great experience. Roll Tide.
Mhm.
Go Dogs.
Graduated in COVID. It
What?
was-
You're a
yeah,
COVID baby?
I was a COVID grad.
What was that like? I had just escaped it. I graduated in 2019.
Yeah.
Thank God. I would have not been well.
Oh, I know. I feel bad for the kids, like, or the people below me, you know, who still are in school or like still were in school.
Yeah.
I got out just in time. Also, talk about crying. I cried a lot because when COVID hit, everybody remembers like March 2020, you know, whatever was going on in your life. It was just about to be spring break. It was like a couple days before spring break at Bama, my senior year. Like all my little girlies, we were all planning a trip together, but I got a good interview that was like back home in California, and I wanted to move back to be in like the entertainment industry anyway, and I was applying. So I was like, girlies, I will see you soon, you know, like we have time. Like I'm gonna go home for this interview. And they left, and then the next day, that Friday, was the day that Alabama was like, don't come back. And so I have made an effort, obviously, to see a lot of them, but it took a long time to see them again. It was so sad. But also, I got to coast in my classes.
That's what I was about to say. Like, what was that like? Like going like Zoom classes. Like we never used online stuff when I was in school.
No.
We never did. So
They
like
didn't know how to. They were so lost. Like half of my classes, I'm not kidding, literally gave me the option at the end of that week. They said, do you want to keep going and do like some online assignments, or do you want to take your grade as is? And I took my grade as is in most of those classes. One of the ones that I did not was a film one that was fun, and one was a cooking class that had been in person. I was was loving it. I was so excited, learning how to cook. And then they took that away from me. It was only like halfway into the class. I hadn't even gotten to like the eggs chapter yet, you know? I'd only gotten to like salt, scramble an egg. It's taken some time, but I've gotten there. So yeah, all of those classes were done. It was weird. And then I just kind of transitioned into working like everyone.
Yeah. What made you move to LA?
I first moved to LA in 2021. I was working remote for an agency. It was like a digital agency, and I was like bottom bitch assistant, you know, like client services assistant.
Yeah.
And I won't say the name because I really hated it. I really hated that job. But I felt like my whole goal was to get up here to LA and to start working in the industry. So, and like I had industry experience before that. Like I had done a lot of PAing gigs throughout college and internships, but I was like ready to get my feet in there, you know? And so I decided to just like move up here, and I went on Craigslist and I found a room for rent. And I moved they were nice people. It was a weird situation though. These people's like extra room, and there were some other people there, and one of them was like a couple. And so I just kind of would like hide in my room all day and like do my online work. And I picked up like a couple gigs, like doing like edit work and like digital producing for people. But I really wasn't happy doing it. I was still looking for work elsewhere in production. And then I can tell you about the boat story that you were asking about. The boat story is, I would say, my most interesting story.
Okay.
This is maybe my Joker origin, maybe my hero origin.
Okay.
Only time will tell. So at that time, you know, I'm pretty desperate. I'm looking for jobs, and a contact that I had who like I wasn't super close with was like, hey, there's this production, this guy I know. He knew like the insurance broker or somebody who was like signing it. It was all like he didn't even know the guy who was like running the production. So he connects me with him, and I'm only 22 at this time. I've been out of school for like less than a year. Oh, and then one of our lights died.
It's fine.
You want to keep going?
Yeah, keep going. Keep going, baby. It's showbiz.
That's showbiz, baby. You just keep going, you know?
Like, it's really hard to be the producer, the talent, the host,
it's so
the
much.
Editor, the social media. Like, it's hard.
The prettiest one in the room.
Sometimes the lights die.
Sometimes God shines his light on us, and sometimes he says, I need a break.
He says sometimes go into the valley.
Yeah, he's like, actually, you have enough light on your own.
People that are listening audio have no idea what happened. So if you're listening audio, one of our lights just died.
And it's like duct tape rigged together right now. It's a whole thing, but it looks really good.
It's called having a dream and keeping it alive.
Absolutely. Keep that fire going.
Even when all the lights turn out.
Absolutely. And that is honestly a great metaphor for my experience on this show.
Okay.
To segue. To segue on back.
It's almost like you do this.
I don't know.
Okay.
So I get hired by this guy. He's like much older. I'm 22 years old. I have like no experience. If you know much about production, I was hired as the unit production manager, which is like a pretty high up position. You know, I'd never done that. I had no experience. I had like PA experience and stuff. Yeah. But I'm a go-getter, so I was like, hell yeah, I'll try, you know. And so this much older guy who's like in his like almost 70s, you know, no offense to anybody out there or whatever, cut that.
I'm very popular with the 70-year-olds.
I kind of figured. That's your key demo. So he flew me out so the concept of the show is that it's COVID times. COVID was like still fairly new, less than a year-ish. And since bands couldn't tour anymore at music venues, he was like, let's cast a band and let's put them on a boat and let's make them live on a boat for 3 months, and we'll travel around the East Coast and we'll play shows from the bow of the boat.
Okay.
Like at marinas and stuff. And I'm like, damn, that actually sounds really cool, you know?
Yeah.
So I get hired on, and he flies me out to South Carolina where he was living and everything. And now hindsight's 2020, of course.
Always.
Of course. And I saw the red flags, but I was so desperate for the experience.
Yeah.
You know? I was willing to risk it.
You gotta do it.
You gotta do it. So I I fly out there and I meet this guy, and he's really skeezy right away. I'm like, oh gosh, he no offense to smokers or anything, but God, he was chain smoking the entire time, like actually chain smoking, like lighting one cigarette with the butt of the other one. It was the first time I'd seen it done. not ironically. So anyway, we like drive out and he's driving me back to his apartment out in South Carolina. It's like kind of a long drive, so we're having like awkward first meeting in person chat, you know.
Yeah.
And he said some like really weird creepy stuff. He was like being like kind of sexual and stuff, and I'm like, oh my god. So I'm just like being defensive and like deflecting. Whatever. We get there and I'm living with him for 2 weeks, just the two of us. This old man, I don't know
Bruh.
him. My parents were very concerned, and I was not really like keeping them updated on exactly the details until way after. They know now. Hi, mom and dad. So I lived with him for 2 weeks, and it was pretty much hell. Like it was a lot. On the production side, I got out there and basically nothing had been done. He hadn't even secured the boats yet, which was pretty shocking to me. The only thing that really had been done is like I had been hired. There was one other producer who had never done production in his life. He was a guitarist. And he was so not helpful. Sorry, Charles. And he had like got the band together, and so we were like talking to them over Zoom and planning. I'm pulling everything together. I'm booking the marinas and like trying to like schedule the boat path to like go down. We started in North Carolina over on the East Coast, and we worked our way down to the Keys over 2.5-ish months. And we did about 14 or 15, maybe 16 stops. I planned every single one of them. Like I was dealing with boat captains and marinas. I helped him secure a boat. I helped him secure this fishing boat. But like the show was called Yacht Stops. And so the whole thing was like we were supposed to be on a yacht, and it was going to be like a really nice yacht. Everyone was really excited about it. But to get to the yacht, one thing, as we started filming, the band was going to play from this yacht, right? And it's going to be really nice. But the way to like earn their way onto the yacht, all part of the show and everything, was they had to live on a fishing boat for 2 weeks before that to do boat boot camp. And we were having them do like all sorts of stuff, like getting seasick out there, like taking them out on like really choppy waters, making them fish. We threw like a smoke grenade at them one morning while everybody was sleeping. That was pretty fun. I got to do some like Joker-esque stuff. I got to be Joker brained, but it was also kind of messed up. And like it's hard to tell the story because there's so many things, so I'm sorry if I'm skipping around. I hope it's easy to follow.
Good.
But so we finally, after like 2 weeks of living with this guy, it's horrible, it's crazy, it sucks. I'm like totally miserable, and I'm just trying to like count down the days to get to like meet up with everybody else, the cast, the crew, to not be alone with this guy anymore in his apartment. Because he like I was able to like deflect. He didn't do anything to me. He was just a creep, you know. He's just a fucking weirdo.
Weird vibes.
And I couldn't escape him. Like he only had one car, and like I couldn't leave. Whatever.
Oh my god. Like honestly, like I'm scared for you.
Oh, it gets worse.
Okay, keep going.
Oh, it gets worse. So we finally, after 2 weeks, we meet up with everybody, the cast and the crew. I'm so excited. Everything's going great. And at the end of the day, we have kind of like a house party it's like at the fishing captain's boat. We're just about to start boat boot camp and like just start those 2 days. Or 2 weeks. So like last hurrah before we ship out or whatever, you know? So we're having a little house party. It's cast and crew. We get to meet like the edit team for the first time. And things started to go wrong very quickly. So the edit team, they had started to get a little suspicious of Michael Bloom, the guy who ran the whole thing. Because
sounds like a sketch name.
Watch out for him. If you ever meet an old man named Michael Bloom, literally turn and run.
All right.
No, literally. So at this point, we all have signed contracts and everything. It should be legal, but payment keeps getting delayed. Like originally, the red flags, hindsight, right? All those things,
Red flag.
eyesight and things.
Yeah.
So originally we had been told that like we wouldn't be paid for the first like month of, I think it was less than that, but the first month. And then after that, like we would recoup all the money that we had been owed up to that point, and then start receiving like weekly or bi-weekly paychecks. And it was because of the company that was like buying the show. A lot of like complicated mumbo jumbo. He was able to kind of just like appease us for a long time. But the edit team, after the first 2 weeks, they're starting to get really suspicious. They were very professional. They had a lot of experience. They were smart. So I was talking to them, you know, and I learned a very important lesson, a couple important lessons in these few moments. So I was talking to one of the younger guys on the team who was about my age, you know, early 20s. And I had like been messaging with him in work capacity, like for a little while. And so it was nice to meet everybody. I had a drink or two in my system. And so I'm chatting alone with this guy, and he's like, come on, like, give me the scoop. Like, what's up with this guy? Like, he seems like such a creep. Like, what is his problem? And so I don't know. I just kind of spilled. I like let it out that, this guy is a creep, and that he had been saying some really creepy things to me and been making me feel really uncomfortable, and nothing horrible had like happened at this point, but I let them know. And he was just like, okay, like, cool, thanks for sharing with me. I didn't think anything of it. And then we're all like going back to the Airbnbs that we were staying in that night, and I get a text message. I'm not with the producer, and I get a text message that it was from the editor guy I was talking to, that was the final straw, me admitting that, and so they decided to quit on the project. So it was the day before initial filming starts, and the edit team quits, and I'm like, and it's my fault, well, it's Michael's fault, but it was me. I was the catalyst,
Well, I think it was, hopefully this story, like, it ends right there.
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no.
Jesus, Sarah.
I know. I'm sorry it's a lot.
But also, you don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know.
You had just started, you were trying to find, like, you don't know. Now, I bet you'll never make that same mistake.
No, you don't drink at work functions like that, and you don't spill personal info.
No.
Or you ask for help. No, that's a bad message. Ask for help.
Ask for help, yes. But what I mean is, sure, he asked you these questions. You obviously had that inner gut of something's off, so you shared with him. So, like, I think what I was meaning is you'll never make the same mistake of, like, working with someone like that again.
Hell no.
Yeah.
Oh, hell no. I've got spidey senses now. So this guy texted
You
me.
should have quit with the team.
Oh, I know. But I wouldn't have this story to share with you.
Right,
and I wouldn't be on
so you kept
this
going.
podcast.
And blaming yourself.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
So, but we dealt with that. We've gone to therapy. We work through it and everything, right?
Glowing and growing.
So he texted me and he let me know that what I said was one of the reasons. And he also texted the main producer, and they didn't include that info. They just told him it was because he was so scuzzy. So shout out for them not exposing me like that, because nobody ever knew. So I just hold on to that the entire time for 3 months, almost 2.5 months. So that was kind of like eating me up, but whatever. So boot camp starts the next day, and I'm living on the fishing boat with them. It's a tiny fishing boat. There were 6 or 7 bunks down below. It's really small. It was a commercial fishing boat, but it's not meant for a bunch of people to live on, for like a camera crew and cast.
No.
So like for 2 weeks, God, there was no privacy at all. It was fun to film. Like nothing like too crazy was happening at that point, except the guy, he said we were supposed to have a chef, and the chef quit. So we were in total we were about 25 people, the production team, and somehow it fell on me as one of the lead producers to feed everybody also every day, all meals. And we had one guy, poor Brennan, he was vegan and celiac and gluten-free, and I almost killed that boy. He lost like 15 pounds. I couldn't feed him. I was literally keeping everything together. I was making sure there was like fuel in the boat. I was making sure there was a plan for the day, that the cameras were rolling, that people were fed, that Michael didn't sexually harass anybody, because the like leader, the lead singer of the band was like a young little girl, and she was like my age, but she acted way younger. Anyway, that's a side story. So boot camp was like, it was rough, but it was really fun. We were all so excited to finally get on this yacht, have a little more space, now we're really going to get into the vibe of the show, because they didn't have much time to like practice their instruments or anything and like play as a band. They had only really known each other for a couple weeks. So I remember the day we like we're at the marina, and we're meeting up with the yacht captain, getting off the fishing boat and everything. Yeah. And we get out, and I see, God, I'm sorry, yachts and boats are just, in general, they are nice, they are expensive, but this was a floating, it was just sad. It was like literally so like run down. It was like a really crappy like RV floating on water, basically. Cute. It was from the 80s, and the guy who was taking care of it was like this crazy old man. I had a lot of beef with him too. We were like constantly fighting because whatever, it's drama. It was so horrible. We had like the carpets were moldy, the walls, like the wallpaper was ripping up, like there weren't mattresses on the beds that we were supposed to be staying in. There were bugs everywhere. There were roaches. Somebody said they found a rat. It wasn't. And the worst part was it wasn't even up to the safety standards. So we got the Coast Guard called on us, because the owner of the boat is the one I would beef with, and then he wasn't actually like licensed to drive people on the boat or whatever. He could like maybe drive himself. So we had hired another captain, and she was this mean little woman. She came on and she was immediately just like being really mean to the cast and crew, like said some like really not cool stuff. And then we quickly figured out she was drunk. She had been drinking and was like a really bad alcoholic and was drunk in that moment. And she was supposed to be driving the boat that day. So we had to fire her, and then she called the Coast Guard on us, and then the Coast Guard came and we weren't up to safety standards and everything. So that held us back. And all this time, no one's getting paid. We're all starting to like spend our own money. Like at first there was money, which is like what kept me around and like kept all of us around.
Yeah.
But the money stopped flowing at a certain point, you know, and tensions just got really, really high. And, you know, we were able to do some shows, and we did film a show. It wasn't quite what it had been pitched, you know, but it was dramatic. That's for sure. There was a lot of fighting, a lot of infighting. With the production team versus the crew and or the cast and everything. It was interesting, you know. Things. So we get in like, I'll fast forward like 2 months later, you know.
Jesus, you did this for 2 months?
2.5 months.
Oh my God.
Just
Okay.
about.
I'm worried about you in this time.
It's almost over, but the craziest part I don't think has really happened yet.
Okay.
That's, in my opinion, the craziest part.
Okay.
So people are starting to get really.
To me, it's crazy when you don't get paid. Like,
oh, that was absolutely insane. No, we don't work for free. I'll never do it again. You will not catch me. So you're paying for this appearance, right? Appearance fees? Okay, cool. We'll discuss. My people. Call me people. Okay, perfect. Okay, perfect. Cool. So we'll just chat. So tensions are really high. It's been going on too long. Like the show should have shut down way long ago. But we were a lot of people who like didn't have a lot of credits, but people who were really excited to like get into the. So we were ready to give it our all, and we had already gotten so far. It just felt like it needed to like happen, and there was promise that it was going to be on Amazon Prime, and then it was like never mind. So one day we were like coming back from somewhere. We're on the boats, and there were 2 boats, and the first boat pulled in, and that had Michael, the main producer, and one of our camera guys. His name was Tom, the drone guy. I loved him. We got along really well, and they got in a really bad fight one day in like the parking lot, and Tom had a heart attack, and he actually passed away. And they had to call 911. The ambulance came and picked him up. He passed away in the ambulance, and he was revived. He did come back to life. He was dead for like a minute or something like that.
Is he alive now?
He is alive to this day.
Scared.
Tom, drone guy for you, is alive and out there still. I saw him on Facebook not too long ago. And so at that point, it was like no one had been paid.
Bruh.
The people aren't eating. People are losing weight. People are starving. Somebody just died. He was, yes, resurrected, but he did die. That is a fact. So at that point, and remember, except for Tom dying because he was one of the camera guys, so he kind of took the L and didn't film himself on that. I know, only regret. The band did come together, and they ultimately like voted in like a sad final moment that it's time to go. So everybody kind of dispersed after that. We left the Florida Keys and everything, and then now there's like I'm not sure if it's still happening, but at one point there was like a legal battle of people fighting over the footage rights and stuff. No one has ever been paid like to this day. And then, so I never thought this show was going to come out. I'm like, weird fever dream. People will probably never even believe me that any of this happened. Like, they'll probably think I'm making it all up, right? It's too crazy. Just one fucking day, I don't remember if someone sent it to me. Someone from the cast had seen it on YouTube or something, like a promo. This man, he released the show. It's on Amazon Prime. It's out. I was like, what the fuck? So I went to go be like, oh my God, my first ever TV show that I produced, that like I was a part of, and it's on like a streaming platform. How cool. This bitch, he listed every episode for 99 cents. So I've never watched it because that's his final attempt to try to get money out of us.
Oh, he wants you to pay.
He wants money out of it because like Amazon is a platform that like they do a lot of original content, but also they or they like program a lot of content that like it's like we'll let you put your content, your show on our platform, but we're not going to pay you unless it makes anything, you know. So you can put it on there, and it's really no risk to Amazon because they didn't pay anything. If it tanks, whatever, you know. So that's his last attempt to get money. I believe there's still an ongoing legal battle. Tom is alive.
I don't want to give Michael. Tom is alive. That is the true miracle, that Tom is alive.
Tom.
I hate that for you.
Hated it. It was the most insane experience of my, and there's a lot more, and I probably told that in like a boring way to listen to. I don't know.
Didn't stop.
And maybe it was just like all over the place. It's an interesting story, definitely. I think that the more interesting show would be like cutting up the footage to show like what really happened and like how much of a mess it was, and like what happens if you get a bunch of people together and you really don't have the money to like support this, but you keep like scamming people. It was a scam, you know?
It's a scam.
This is a scam. So I hope that like some documentary comes out about it someday.
I was literally just thinking, I was like, that's what you should do. You should like make a documentary about this guy.
That's why there's like this legal battle over the footage, because people want to repurpose the show. Like I think it was some of the camera operators and the lead singer's family were like thinking about going in together, and they asked me, and I was like, it doesn't seem like he has any money. I want to move on with my life, you know?
What lesson did you learn from all that?
I learned a lot from that. It definitely, like, it broke me. I was so young and so inexperienced and had so much pressure put on me so quickly. I didn't know what to do. Like, I sobbed a lot in the beginning. You know, I would go and like cry in a corner somewhere so no one would see me, because I had to keep it together for them.
Yeah.
Like, I had to keep, because he was such a mess.
Production side of things already is stressful, so like adding all those layers like does not help.
Yeah, having no money really, and the boat being people dying, it's a lot. But I learned, and this is going to sound cheesy, but I really learned to like believe in yourself and to like take a risk. Like, it was a risk for me to even like try to reach out to him in the beginning, trying to get a producer position when I had no experience. It was a risk for me to do any of this stuff. Like, it could have gone horribly, you know, but I believed in myself. It was like my only option, and it gave me a confidence that I had never known in myself, and it's definitely like helped shape who I am now. It gave me the experience that has helped me get like another great job that I have now, where I get to like actually like use my production experience and like be creative and make cool content that I get paid for.
Yeah.
Also, I would say one note that I left out about this that I'll leave that story on is that in the beginning, when I first connected with this producer, this director, and he offered me a contract of $100,000 for 3 months of work, and I was only 22, you know, no experience. And, you know, if you're like A-lister, a lot of experience, sure, that's probably a normal thing. That is too much money. If it's too good to be true, it is. It is. I'm sorry. And I believed in it, and I took a risk, and it was too good to be true. Still glad I did it. I don't regret it at all, but yeah, it was.
Yeah. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
It often is.
It probably is. But I think you got a cool story out of it.
I got the best fucking story.
I mean, and you're resilient.
Yeah.
But we already knew that.
We had to be, you know? We have to be.
And I do want to say, like, I feel like as much as that sucked, like, you can, like, you work under pressure really well. Like, I went to, and I think too, like, knowing that and then seeing where you are now as a friend, like, it's inspiring, because me and Madeline went to that in-person thing you were producing the other day. The cooking show.
Yeah, it was a cooking and comedy show.
And cooking and comedy, which, like, two of my favorite things. Eating and comedy. I don't really like cooking, but
we got to eat too.
We got to eat. Yeah, the food was good. But seeing you, like, on your boss, like, you were so in your element. And
Thank you.
And also when you were, you know, I think it's cool too with this job, like, you do video content, like now you're doing like the podcast for that, people like social media content. Like, I think that it's so good to have this like multiple, you know, like, and like you have a TV show like Credit Kinda, like on a fake
I mean, I call it a fake TV show. Like, that's not invalid to say, but it kind of is a real TV show.
It kind of is now that it's on Amazon.
It is a show, you know?
But also, like, justice
will be served.
Justice
I have to believe
will
that.
be served. You know, you can't scam people and get away with it. Look at Firefest.
Look at Firefest. I am begging. I am dying. I'm itching. I'm foaming at the mouth for the Firefest documentary about this guy. I'm serious. If you're watching this and you ever like contact or get in contact with Michael Bloom and he like wants to do something production related, just, you know, at least check out his background. If it's from Solaris Media, watch out. And that's the tea.
That's the tea, but it sucks, but I'm proud of you for getting out, and I'm proud of you for becoming resilient and like getting through that.
Thank you. And you know, it was fun. Like, I had great times too.
Yeah. You are an incredibly resilient person, especially for like going through all that. I had no idea. But I think your origin story of why you even wanted to get into production is even more beautiful. And I don't think you even remember because it
I
was
think
the
I know
Roll
where you're
Tide
going.
night. You don't remember telling me the story, but it was like so beautiful. About where your desire to wanting to get started in production came from that
Yeah.
time of your childhood, like being really sick and like watching shows. So like, can you go into a little bit about that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I thought it was really beautiful.
Yeah, when I was younger, I had a lot of health issues, specifically asthma. And living in California, a lot of fires. I was hospitalized when I was in fourth grade for pretty severe asthma complications. And after that, I spent the next, I think, 3.5 years in and out of the hospital, in and out of the ICU. I was really, really sick. I missed a lot of school. Like, I don't know my Roman numerals. That era, I was not in school.
Good thing Google exists.
Good thing. You're so right. Yeah, so I was in the hospital a lot. Both my parents, it's I'm sure not cheap to have a kid in the hospital. So my parents were working and they did obviously an amazing job of like being around me all the time and like keeping me company, but there were a lot of times where I was alone in the hospital bed. When I was like 8 to 10 years old, I was tiny. Um and I had to find something to, bring comfort, to fill the space. And I turned to movies and TV. There was a TV in the room always, and I would just watch and watch, and I always wanted something new. Every time someone would go home, they would like bring me a new DVD, and I was so excited to watch a new movie every time. And that brought me a lot of comfort. So I think from a really young age, that made such an impact on me that I think it's always been important to me to, like create and to give back. I want to be able to give back what I got from media. To be able to affect anyone the way that I was affected is really beautiful. And so, yeah, I hope that maybe I can even bring like a fraction of that to somebody someday.
That's so sweet.
Mm.
That's so wholesome. Was it like, was it scary? Like, cause I couldn't imagine being like a kid and going through that. Like, was it a scary, like isolating? If I'm sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It was really scary. And during that time, I was still having a lot of asthma. I have anxiety and been diagnosed and, medicated for a little while now. Shout out. But my parents didn't know back then. Nobody in my family had ever had mental health issues or anything. And I became really depressed. Um, and I started to develop an anxiety disorder at a really young age so it's called vocal cord dysfunction. And when I would get sick with asthma, it'd start to not feel good. It would really stress me out because I knew hospital's coming. Okay, oh crap, I have to get ready to go back to the hospital, get pricked. I was always, like hooked up to things. I was almost intubated. It was a lot. Um, I kind of forgot where I was going. I kind of lost my,
The isolation,
yeah.
scary anxiety disorder.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, I was alone a lot. When I would start to feel really sick, I would get really stressed out, and I developed vocal cord dysfunction. But the doctors didn't know what that was for a long time. And for anyone who doesn't know what that is, because why would you unless you have it?
Yeah.
It sounds a lot like wheezing, like a really intense hoarse wheeze, but it's your vocal cords constricting, not your lungs, like with asthma. And it was stress induced. And so that would often happen alongside the asthma. And so I wasn't able to breathe at all. The doctors didn't know what it was. It took a really long time for them to figure out that it was anxiety related. And then once they figured that out, I got diagnosed with like PTSD at a young age and I started doing therapy and it helped a lot. The vocal cord dysfunction like totally went away. I was able to control that. So we were able to just focus on the asthma and the hospitalizations finally started to clear up, thank God. And I've been pretty healthy as an adult, knock on wood. I think I got all my bad luck out of the way at an early age because there were more illnesses after that, but it really started to get better.
Yeah, like when I see you, I just am reminded of like a ray of sunshine. Like you always just light up any room you walk in. You're always a hype woman. You're always so hype. So like I had no idea you had been through stuff like that. And like
Huh.
it does make sense because you are really funny. And so like I feel like trauma makes people funny. And you've
does.
always been hilarious to me. So I should
Thank
have
you.
known you had been through some stuff.
Ugh.
But I had no idea.
I really appreciate the like positivity note because I did from a young age learn that like depression is very real and it's something that I've struggled with and depression I want to like preface this with like sometimes you need a lot more help and like maybe medicine and therapy and stuff. But in general, I learned that you have to choose to be happy, and you have to choose to be happy all the time, because it's so easy to just like let the bad thoughts win and like give in, like, ugh, I had a shitty day. Like, I just want to be in a shitty mood and like be rude and like, just off putting. But it's just, life is so much better when you like choose to be happier.
Yeah.
And so that's something that I work on a lot, and it's something that I'm not the best at. I'm no pro,
Yeah.
but it is something that I'm continually working on.
Yeah. I mean, we all have our days, like
I have a lot of them.
we're human. We all do, but
Yeah.
I'm heavy on that. Like, it is a choice, like choosing gratitude. Like, there's a phrase I heard, and it's like, being grateful in situations I'm not grateful for. So like,
I like
the situation that I'm in right now, like, it's not like ideal and not like the situation I want, but you have to choose to find things to be grateful for.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
it feels good to see like other people be happy around you,
Yeah.
I love that.
Were kids like mean to you?
Oh my God. Yeah. So
I feel like if you're bullied as a kid, like, that never really leaves you.
yeah, I think you're absolutely right about that. I, like a lot of kids, was bullied really bad, and I hope it's better these days, but in the early 2000s, bullying was still very cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did get bullied a lot. There were a lot of side effects to the medications that I was on too. If you've ever been on prednisone, I think, I don't remember what it is. It's like a steroid, I think. You get it if you're really sick, like, I don't know, a chest thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I was on a really, really, really high dosage of it. And if you've ever seen in like some cancer patients, they are on really high doses of prednisone and their faces swell up.
Well, yeah, you get really swollen from
So I got
steroids.
I got that facial swelling at a really young age, and it was really, really bad and really noticeable. But like, I was, I'd stay home for a while, and especially in the very beginning when it first happened, I was home with my family, and it was more of a gradual thing. So they didn't even notice. They didn't tell me that my face was so swollen. They didn't even realize. And so I went to school, and the kids very quickly told me how swollen my face was, and I appreciated that,
Yeah.
So yeah, that was one thing. And another fun little, middle school trivia fact about me is I have really bad eyesight. I wear contacts every day. Kitty girl wants to come up.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, welcome to the show.
Ugh.
This is Oscar. She's a queen.
I'm literally allergic. I have to take allergy pills every time I come over here. Like,
It's
please.
true. I'll grab you one in a minute.
I already feel my eyes watering.
Okay, perfect. We'll keep it quick then. Yeah, so another little tidbit about me is I have really bad eyesight.
Yeah.
When I was 3 years old, my parents like took me to the eye doctor because I was always running in. Actually, it's kind of sad, funny story. When I was in preschool, one day my preschool teacher called my parents in for a meeting after school when they were picking me up, and they asked my parents like if they were abusing me because I always had a big old lump on my forehead because I had such bad depth perception. I would just walk into walls and doorways all the time. And so then they took me to the eye doctor after that, and they found out like I had such a severe case of like lazy eye too. So I had like amblyopia and strabismus. If anyone out there listening knows what that is, gang gang.
Gang gang.
But I had to wear an eye patch over my stronger eye to help my weaker eye get stronger, like force it to work harder every day for, I think it got less as I got older, but starting at like 10 hours a day every day. And so I had to wear an eye patch to middle school and elementary school, through middle school. And then I finally was just like, I'm not doing this anymore. And my eyes were better at that point, thankfully, because when you are like a little bit chubby and you're kind of socially awkward and you wear an eye patch and you're always gone from school because you're sick, people think you're kind of strange. So that
Character building.
Yeah, it took a lot to really overcome those the weird kid accusations. It's taken a lot.
You know what, Sarah?
What?
Everyone is weird.
So true.
And you know what? I love your weirdness.
Aww, I love your weirdness.
Oh, see, this is why.
Don't smack kitty
This
girl.
is why.
Don't
Can you take her
disrespect
over
Oscar.
there? Okay.
She does what she wants.
She like literally is like, I feel like I'm about to get eaten on my podcast. Like, I feel like she's about to bite me.
This cat loves Montana and she refuses to let the cat back. So, you know, give the video a thumbs down.
No, don't. No, it's not that I don't want to love her. It just like if I did, I would sneeze all over her.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I think you're an incredibly resilient person, and I think that anything that you want to accomplish, you can. Like I believe that. I believe in you. I believe in your story. What's your big goal with it?
Huh.
What would be the big goal?
I think it's kind of a moving target for me. It's changed a lot. I love producing. I didn't see myself falling in as a producer. I thought I would go more of like the editor track a couple years ago. So it's been interesting to see like where this is taking me. I really love telling, you know, my own stories, but other people's stories, especially. And I've done a lot of work now for smaller companies, and it's been really cool getting to like have creative freedom and be able to tell stories that, you know, something at like if you're at a bigger network, like I worked at NBC Universal for a little bit, and it was just like nothing got done. It felt like everything was such a slow process. I had no control over anything. So I hope that I can continue to like discover my voice as a storyteller and be able to give a platform to people who haven't. Like I would love to give more of a voice to like Black, gay, like all of the communities who haven't traditionally like had as much of a platform as someone like me has had. And also I really like telling kind of like scary stories.
Oh,
yeah,
spooky.
Yeah, I really like that. So I hope like one day to kind of like get my foot into the thriller genre. Right now I'm having fun doing like reality TV and food media and comedy. But yeah, I definitely have some bigger goals.
Ooh, I love that. A spooky vibe.
Yeah.
Spooky girl.
Like I really love like Jordan Peele is a huge inspiration to me.
Okay.
My original inspiration, one of the first directors that I ever really fell in love with, it was such a random and like kind of like answer, but it was Alfred Hitchcock.
Okay.
You know, like old school. I like fell in love with like Rear Window, all those movies. He did upon further research. He's not the best guy. He's not the best role model. You know, separate art from artists, but at a certain point. Yeah, so I would love if there are more cool people out there telling crazy stories who aren't so problematic. You don't have to see Harvey Weinstein's name at the end of a movie anymore, you know?
Yeah.
That's what I want.
I love that. And I love too, like, because I feel like a lot of the smaller companies, like being more independent, you do get that freedom. Like, you don't have to, you know, be under someone else's umbrella. Like you can have that freedom. That's what I think is beautiful about like all this independent content coming out. And I think I love what you do with the food, the reality, the comedy. Like we have bonded over our love for comedy, even though we have recently discovered our taste in comedy. Like we are together, we're giggling all the time, we're laughing, we're banter. Like you're my favorite person to like riff with, like because you're fun, you're funny. But when it comes to watching comedy shows, comedians, we are not on the same page. And it's crazy to me because usually when you hang out with someone and they don't find the same things that you find funny, like y'all don't vibe.
Right.
But we vibe so well, even though none of the content we like is the same.
It's so interesting. Obviously, like we have overlap with like reality TV and all that. Oh. But you're 100% right. Like comedy, it's not the same, even though we are still able to like riff and joke and like have such a good time. So, you know, it's just another point of like, even so someone's a little bit different than you doesn't mean that like you can't have such an amazing relationship with them.
Yeah, I think our differences are what can bring us together. And I think sometimes we get scared of our differences, but like our differences can bring us together. And like I've learned from you. You learn from people by your differences.
Absolutely. And I can't wait to see more stuff for you to show me. You know, we're going to find a funny show that we both
We will
like.
find a funny show, but like I'm still really butthurt that you didn't like that Pete Davidson show. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like it's fine.
Yeah. No, maybe I'll give it another chance.
No, it's okay. Like that opening scene really is a lot.
Yeah. If you've seen that Bub Kiss show and you know what we're talking about, the opening scene with Pete Davidson and his mom and the VR set, she was showing me that and I was so ready. I was like,
I gave you a warning. I was like, the opening scene is wild, but please, it's a wholesome show. It talks about his grandpa dying. Like, just get past this opening scene.
I couldn't, and I'm sorry. And I think maybe that was just my mindset at the moment.
It
you know,
was.
maybe
It probably was.
I need a new headspace. So maybe let's get a date on the calendar and we'll try it again.
Yeah. And also, reality TV did bring us together because
did.
I hate when people think that you're like uneducated if you love reality. Like I live and die by reality shows.
Yeah.
I would love to be on a reality show.
Oh, and you're gonna be, I can tell.
I would die for one.
Oh, I could totally see. And I think that in the best way, you could even be like a little bit of a villain of a season. I could see that for you.
I don't think you think I could be a villain?
But like, I think it would mostly be like how the edit does you dirty and you're like actually really cool and stuff. You're just out there, like getting your name out there. And then the editors came in with their agenda. And
I could also see myself being a villain.
Right. Let's be real here. Come on. And villains are often the best characters. Bravo.
They make the show.
Mm-hmm. Bravo's House of Villains. I mean, come on. There's no House of Heroes on Bravo. I don't think so.
There's no House of Wholesome.
House of Whores?
The whorehouse?
The whorehouse? The
Texas
brothel?
whorehouse?
Oh my God, wait. Should we go?
Should we? Okay. I really loved this conversation. I love your
too.
story. I love the boat story, even though that's traumatizing. And shout out to Tom for staying alive.
Shout out, Tom. And sorry it was long,
That's what a podcast is. A long form conversation.
Just chit-chatting.
Just two girls chit-chatting on the couch with a kitty cat that's going to make me sneeze.
This honestly really felt like one of just like our hangouts.
No, it literally did.
This is how we talk.
I'm telling you guys, if I'm not at my apartment, I'm here. These two have kept me fed this past year. I would not have survived this last year without you. And I really want you to know that I am super grateful for you. And I can't wait to continue seeing your story unfold. And can't wait to continue sharing it.
I feel the same way.
Is there anything else you want to say before we end this?
I mean, let's go crush it. Am I right, everybody? Come on. It's going to be a good day. Get your ass up and go to work.
Go to work. Maybe if you had a business that you were passionate about.
Totally. Also, I was quoting, that was a TikTok. So if you don't, I wasn't just being like, oh my God, go to work.
No, I was quoting Kim Kardashian.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So perfect.
Because remember, she was like, because her sisters were like,
this up and
work. Like maybe if you had a business, Courtney, that you cared about, you would understand.
Burn. Absolutely, shots fired. And she said what she needed to say.
And then, magically, Courtney came out with Lemmy. So it does work. Get up and work.
Clearly it does.
Okay. I love you guys. I mean it. Bye.
Bye, besties.
Oh, yay. You said besties. You guys are my besties. Bye.
Bye.